Hello and welcome back to the Spiritual Successful Podcast. I'm your host, Jenna Zwagil, and today we are going to talk about money as energy and not as something just material. So I feel like I've been studying this just naturally through my own trials in life, but I came across a quote from Napoleon Hill this morning, and it really stopped me in my tracks. I want to share it with you guys this morning. And basically it says, financial hardship isn't just a material problem, it's a spiritual lesson. So that really hit me right in the gut. And the reason is because I remember thinking to myself, work 3 jobs, I could, work myself to death and still be completely broke. Money is not the result of doing hard work. It's not the result of adding more effort into your life. It's an energy, it's a consciousness, it's a way of how you show up in the world. And so the question I had that came through was, why are there people who do so little yet have more than enough? And then there's other people, which is the opposite, who work their entire lives and they still struggle. Well, this opened a door to awareness for me and just the realization that money is not material. And when you truly grasp that money is energy, every outdated definition you once believed begins to collapse. And so, I just have been in this situation so many times in my life, throughout the last 20 years, I guess, as being an adult and thinking, okay, I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I don't know how I'm going to pay for my car payment or whatever is coming through, because right now in my bank account, it says that I don't have enough money. The physical reality is it's not there. And yet, you listen to people like, I guess myself, people that are like, well, you just, think your way into it, just believe it and it'll be there. But it's really more than just positive thinking. It's really has to do with your emotions. It's, yes, maybe your physical reality right now is that you are living in lack, but it is because you're holding on to a lack consciousness. And these things are programmed into us. It's a lot of times it doesn't come from ourselves, but it comes from parents and our grandparents. And, somewhere along the way, somebody in the family tree, right, had a wealth wound. And ever since they had that wealth wound, maybe they were going out for their dreams. They were going to put everything into it. And they failed. So they decided from then we're going to be safe. We're not going to ask for too much. We're going to be happy with a little. And just shrinking their dream out of comfort, out of avoiding the true spiritual lesson that really comes with understanding that money is just an energy. It's something that's meant to flow. It's meant to move. It's meant to be dynamic. It's really all about being in a constant state of trust. Just a constant state of trust, just knowing, having a deep understanding. The opposite of fear is not faith, but it's understanding, right? It's knowing, it's having that inner knowing that everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out. Everything's working out in my favor. And if something looks crazy right now, I know it's because there's something even better coming, or because it's meant for me, or because it's a lesson that I have to go through. Those are the spiritual lessons that come along with earning a lot of money, right? And, when the money started flowing in my life, I was like, holy crap, this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It was leading up to that point. It was the day-to-day lessons of just the internal struggle that I had with money. That was the hardest part, was getting rid of the internal struggle. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm just done struggling. I'm going to just accept whatever happens. If I lose everything, I lose everything. If I end up homeless, then that's what's going to happen. And just having just permanent acceptance that no matter what happened, as scary as it is, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to be in that moment and I'm going to just accept it for what it is. And from that place of being calm and understanding, that creates a really good environment for creating something more. Because you can't create something out of stress and desperation. I mean, you can, right? But you're going to be creating the thing that you fear. But if you can start creating from a place of peace, right? Just complete peace at whatever happens is going to happen. And no matter what, it's going to make my life better. And I'm going to choose to look at everything that gets thrown at me that way. I'm going to change the lens in which I perceive the world. I'm going to change my perspective so that I get what I want in my reality. And it doesn't matter. So it's a non-negotiable. It's a predetermined decision, right? People ask me all the time, how do you stick to decisions? How do you give yourself a command and follow it, right? My mentor, Bob Proctor, used to say, give yourself a command and follow it. I take that seriously. So I can change my habits just like that because I can give myself a command and follow it. Well, what that is, like in a nutshell, is just making a decision in advance. I make advanced decisions. This is what I'm going to do, right? And I don't let anything deter me from that. So, you have to stay focused on that until you get to where you want to be. So when you're in a place of lack and disharmony, I mean, really, that's the most, I think, descriptive word that we can use here is just being out of harmony. It's like if, money is part of a song, right? And the notes that you hit must be in harmony, because if they're not, it's going to feel like discord, right? So like when you are trying to attract money into your life, but your deep feeling beliefs are not harmonious, it feels like hitting a chord wrong. Like if you say to yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire, or I am a millionaire, right? If you say to yourself, I am successful, I am worthy, I am loved, you say these like affirmations out loud, but you feel deep down inside a discord because you don't believe it. Right? That's the energy, whatever you're feeling is the energy that you're emitting. It's not about money as a goal. Money's not the goal, right? Money is just kind of like air. Like it's just something that's moving around. It's in circulation. It's not the goal. It's something that happens when you're in pursuit of the spirit of expanding the spirit that you have within you. When you're in harmony with what it is you truly, really want. I was talking to this guy. I was at the lake last weekend, and he was telling me about how he's going to school to become an engineer. Right now, he's a UPS driver, right? And he's trying to diversify, get a better career going. So he's UPS driver now, but he wants to be an engineer, chemical engineer, and he's finding the classes completely uninteresting and challenging. And when I started talking about what he likes to do, he's starting to talk about AI. He's starting to talk about creating a product out of AI that could help local businesses. And he has this like big idea, and it's the big idea that he's always had. And then after he shares that with me, he says, but it's, probably not realistic. So I'm just going to school to get my engineering degree. How many people can relate to that? So basically he's knows what he's supposed to be doing here. He knows what lights his soul on fire. He knows on the conscious level the project that he wants to put his energy into. But because of his beliefs, because of his limiting belief systems about himself, he is going to settle to go to school, to go do something he doesn't love, because logically on paper, it makes more sense. Because our conscious mind, where all of our logic and our books and everything is stored up right there, right? 5% of our brain activity is in our conscious mind. So because his conscious mind will not allow any thoughts of it can happen into his subconscious, he refuses to get emotionally intertwined with that vision of his reality. And because he's afraid to get emotionally involved with the idea or the reality that he wants to bring into his life, he is emitting the exact opposite frequency that he needs to in order to make that a reality. And so, you can change your beliefs, but before you can change your beliefs, you have to question them. Like, when's the last time you actually questioned your beliefs? And I don't mean, church beliefs or religion beliefs or whatever, or science beliefs. What I'm talking about is beliefs that you have about yourself. When's the last time you questioned those beliefs? Have you ever thought about where did those beliefs come from? And I bet you can think about it, and you might even come up with a solution in your own mind before I even finish this podcast. You could be thinking, I believe I'm this because my mom used to say this, or because my dad used to say that, or this is just how our family was. Maybe it was culture, right? That created our limiting beliefs about ourselves. Well, you can go back to those beliefs and you can say, with gratitude, thank you for protecting me up until this point, because a lot of these beliefs, they come out of protection from our family, right? They don't want you to get your hopes up. So they protect you by feeding you negative information to keep you comfortable and safe and small, because it's scary to go after something and be rejected. It's scary to go after something that you really, really want and have to be face to face with it didn't work. And that's the fear that holds people back from going through that threshold and into the other side. But here's the thing, the universe doesn't start just putting money into your stream of consciousness until you're ready to receive it. Giving and receiving is on the same spectrum. You cannot have not one without the other. And for some people, they have a hard time receiving. I have a hard time receiving. This is something that is one of my deep beliefs that I've had to kind of overcome myself because I used to feel like if I'm giving to somebody unconditionally, I'm right. I'm going to be good. But if somebody gives to me, then there's a catch. It must be returned at some point, or it's going to be too good to be true. Those were my subconscious programming. I had to look at that. I had to become aware of it. I had to take evaluation of my beliefs, right? So that's an example of one of my beliefs. And I had to decide consciously, I'm not going to believe that anymore. I'm worthy to receive. I'm worthy of good things happening. I'm worthy of money flowing into my life. I'm worthy of these things. So I'm going to change that belief. So I had to go through with first identifying the patterns and the thought patterns that we get trapped in, and then reprogramming it ourselves consciously. And so when you come against another trigger or something that takes you back to that belief, you consciously can be aware of it and replace it on the spot. You do that enough times, and eventually you have a completely different consciousness about you altogether. You've shifted into somebody else. You've shifted into a whole new reality. And from that point, you can change your point of attraction, because now you're emitting a frequency that is going to be in harmony with the good that you desire. And so when we say that money is energy, it's not, it's not this mystical thing. And I don't want to misconstrue it as, okay, what is energy, right? What I'm meant to really share with you is that it's something that must be flowing, right? And that is the whole point. Money doesn't come from the work you do. It comes from who you are. It comes from who you are when you do the work. It doesn't respond to the efforts you showcase on the outside, but to the frequency you silently emit from within. Money doesn't listen to the words you say, but understands the vibration that you're living in. So on the conscious level, you can say, I'm going to be, I'm a billionaire. I'm this, I'm that. But on the subconscious level, that's where the universe is taking note. That's where the universe is listening to what your emotions are. Emotions are energy in motion. That's all they are. It's energy in motion. And we can control that which we emit out. It's not even about chasing. I think people feel like they have to chase money, but it really, honestly, it's not like that either. It's kind of like dating. You got to have some game. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to go to a bar, right? And you're trying to pick somebody up, like if you're the person sitting there trying to chase the girl, right? She's going to run away. And the harder you chase her, the more freaked out she gets and the faster she runs out the bar. Money is the same way. The more you chase it, the more it runs away. It has to be wooed. It has to be attracted. And it's not about chasing. It's about remembering something ancient, that prosperity isn't a goal. It's a state that has always existed within you. It's a state of being that has always existed within you. And we're reminded of this, like a flower doesn't need to know how to bloom because blooming is its nature. And you don't need to learn how to become wealthy. You only need to remember your inherent nature of abundance. You are that already. You're already that. It's not something I have to learn more skills. It's going to take more time. It's not, I have to work harder and, do things I don't like to do. It's not that. It's literally just the conscious pivot of reframing your mind and emotions to stay calibrated to the flow of money. That's what it comes down to. You don't need to learn how to become wealthy. It's a river that you jump into. And so Napoleon Hill is talking about how to, kind of activate this, how to get yourself in that flow. And he says the first 5 minutes of every morning when you wake up, you're going to close your eyes for 5 minutes. And just imagine that you have a golden, shimmering river of light just flowing through you from the top of your head all the way down. You are no different than money. Money is part of the same stuff that you're made out of. It's made of the same energy. There's only two things that exist in the entire universe, and that's energy and matter. And truthfully, matter is just slower energy. So if everything's energy, then you are the same as everything around you. You just have to be in harmony with the things you want. So if you want money to your life, to flow into your life, to be in that river of abundance, which is your birthright, which is part of your own nature, your inherent nature is abundance. Flow into that, you have to imagine that. You have to imagine it to the point where you get past the resistance. There's going to be resistance. If you're out of harmony with it, you're feeling resistance. If you're in harmony with it, you feel merged into the goal. You and your goal are not separate. It's like a falling in love process. Now you're excited every single day you're waking up. You're fired up because you don't know how you're going to do it, but you're excited because you're going to start looking for the doors to open. You're going to start looking for the signs all around you. You're going to be living in a magical like world where things are freaky now, right? Like coincidences start popping up, synchronicities start happening all around. You start seeing all the signs. You get the random phone calls that aren't so random that actually helped you get to the next level that you needed. I'm building a whole company right now, and I didn't have a blueprint. I had a vision. That was it. And, after my divorce, I was like, I'm too young to retire. I'm not going to retire. I'm going to start a company. I think I have enough of the knowledge from my last experience to make this happen. So I'm going to go start a company. And so my goal was like, look, what do I actually know? What I know is I know what I want to focus on. I know I want to focus on wealth, wellness, and wisdom. Those are the three things. You get those lined up in your life, and your entire life will change. Literally, you'll be in the control. You'll be in the driver's seat of your life. You can manifest and bring into your existence any reality that you want, any version of yourself you want. There's lots of different versions of ourselves. For instance, who you were last year probably wasn't the same person you were the year before that or the year before that. You probably look back at yourself and thought like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to think that. Like, we change as people, we evolve. And so we have to be consciously aware of that. I'm bringing a whole company together, and I didn't have all the pieces. I just, like Martin Luther King Jr. says, okay, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And that act of moving through that threshold of fear and the unknown, and I don't know what's going to happen next, but I only know my intention, and I only know that I'm going to trust it, and I only know that if I put the signal out, it's going to come back to me. And I'm about to walk off a cliff, and I hope to God that I fly, because there's definitely no evidence around me that I'm going to, right? That's walking through the thresholds, and it's walking off the cliff knowing that, ta-da, there's like magical, like lily pads coming out of the sky that you're just now walking on, clouds suddenly go under your feet, and now you can just walk through the air. Like, it's that freaking crazy. When I'm talking about going through the threshold, it's not knowing exactly how it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen. Deep belief in yourself, it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. And so people ask questions, well, what about that? What about that? Look, that's a future problem. I'm not there yet. Like, I'm on this step right now. All I know is these are the building blocks that I have, and the building blocks will continue to fall in your lap. You'll start, like I said, meeting the right people. You'll start seeing things differently. You'll go to, you'll drive around in traffic, and certain license plates will start popping out at you as, just clues. You start following the clues, and you live in your life in just that mode, you're going to be in the stream of money. You're going to be in the stream of creativity and abundance and everything else that you want. But it just takes that little rewiring within us. And so that's what this is all about. And I know for me, I actually went financially bankrupt before. I went through that. And that's kind of a scary process, because it's like the culmination of all your fears just basically all shit hits the fan. That's what a bankruptcy is. Shit has now hit the fan. That's basically what that was. And going through that, I was like, okay, after it was over, I looked at the wreckage of my life, and I realized, well, I'm still breathing. I'm still here. I'm still okay. It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was going to hurt. The next day comes. this too shall pass. And so then that becomes your building point. And as long as you're making the little progress every single day, just 1%, become 1% better every single day. Do something that sets your soul on fire. Okay, I'm not saying everybody go quit your job that you hate immediately. I understand the realities. You probably have bills to pay. I'm sure that's a reality that many of us are faced with. We all are, right? But make time for your passion project. Carve out space in your life. What are the things that you can cut out that are not serving you? The things that we do to keep ourselves numb from ignoring our dream, cut those things out and start following your dream. And just one step at a time. Like, don't go crazy with it. You don't have to, look, you want to go to the gym and be fit or whatever. You don't have to be a bodybuilder the second day you're at the gym. Just walk around the block. Just do something small that's towards it. That's towards where you want to be and build upon that. Those are the foundation stones, right? That's the framing of the house. That's the foundation. That's where everything is going to be built from. So you have to have that part right. And that starts with your energy. And that starts with getting into the spirit of that which you desire. I don't know what the future holds with launching a brand new company. I don't know that, I know for sure actually that I'm going to have challenges. I know for sure I'm going to be tested. There's no way I could do this without having any of that. And it's crazy to think that you're going to go for your goal and you're not going to hit roadblocks. Like, you're going to hit them. And that's because you're meant to overcome them, because the best version of yourself has already overcome all of those things. And so I'm not going into this with any resistance. I know I'm going to get my ass kicked sideways going out on a branch here. Like, I know that, because that's how it works. Anytime you say to the universe, yes, I'm going to be better than I am now. Yes, I agree. Well, guess what? Now you're in boot camp. So you just signed up for boot camp, and now you got to go do 50,000 sit-ups and push-ups every single day. And it's going to hurt, and you're going to be sore, and you're going to cry. And there's going to be scary moments where reality is speaking at the physical level louder than the reality that you're holding in the vision for yourself. And those are the times that you have to refocus and really take control of not only your thought, but your emotions as well. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to ever have a fearful thought like, oh shit, rent's due and this is due and I got to pay for that. And, now I'm going to pay payroll because I'm going after my dream. Genesis, go after my dream. So I'm starting a company and I don't have all the answers yet. Yes. All that is, that's completely how it is. And that's how it's meant to be. But you have to make your vision louder than your fear. You have to make where you're going be where all your energy is going. You literally cannot afford to put energy anywhere else. You can't afford to put it into negativity, doubt, fear, woe is me, maybe I don't have what it takes, all that bullshit. No, you literally can't afford to entertain thoughts like that. You can't afford it. You cannot succeed and also have loser thoughts. You can't do it. One has to go. And the loudest one is going to win. So whatever the loudest soundtrack is in your mind right now, whether it's, yes, I'm doing this. Yes, the money's coming. Yes, I'm going to be a massive success. Is that louder, or is, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe if my husband lets me. Maybe if the kids are in bed on time. Like, are we focusing on, are we adding energy to our excuses and our fears, or are we adding energy to the possibility of what will happen when we do it? Live in the future. Live in the vision that you want for yourself. That's where you set up camp. Now, I'm not saying the next day you wake up and you get hit with a challenge. You're going to get hit with a challenge, and you're supposed to just move past it. Solve the problem without emotion. And ask yourself, how would Bob Proctor solve this problem? How would Napoleon Hill solve this problem? How would Earl Nightingale solve this problem? And do a little roundtable mastermind in your mind of how they would solve the problem. Now you've just had a mastermind meeting and it all existed in your head, but now you've probably got valuable information that you can go take to that problem, solve it, and move on. The problem is we get so stuck in our distractions and our excuses. We attach to them. We let our feelings dictate our reality. We let our feelings be in charge of our mind. Can you believe that? I felt like eating an Oreo, so I'm going to eat the Oreo, right? Like our feelings sometimes so loud and we just listen to them instead of consciously saying, shut up, feelings. Like we're not going to be feeling that right now. What we're going to be feeling is this, and taking control. We are conscious, sentient beings. We have the ability to do that. I met these people in the Dominican, and they're like, oh, we're on a diet right now, right? But we're on vacation now, so it's not that they're all mastermind. They all know the same stuff I know about, rewiring the subconscious. They know all this stuff. They're all experts. And she's like, it's not that I don't know how to do it. It's that I don't want to. She was being completely honest. What I want to do is eat all the bread and all the desserts and all the drinks. She was just being honest with herself. And so in that moment, you have to understand either you made a predetermined decision to stick to your goal, or you're going to have to set a bigger why. You need a bigger why, because I'm somebody that had to change my diet. I had to change it, and I had to give myself little mantras like food is for function, not for fun. I had to retrain the way I thought about things in order to be able to conquer those challenges when they come in my life. So anyway, I just wanted to share all of that with you guys today, and to understand that it's really about the state of your being. It's who you are when you're doing the work. It's not necessarily the work that you're doing. It's not how hard you try. It's not how many hours of sleep you forfeit to accomplish something. All of that is great, and when done in the harmony of the spirits that you're trying to channel in the future, that you're trying to bring into your life, that's great. But if you're just working harder and your energy's not there, and your energy's not there, and you're trying to force something to work, and you're not in harmony and you're not in alignment with it, that's working with resistance. And the whole point of this episode today is to challenge you to remove the resistance and to get in the flow of not only your desires, but all the money that should be now reciprocated because of your change in point of attraction. So thank you guys for hopping on today and listening, and I will see you all on our next episode. Bye guys.